Okay, well, yeah, it's an optics fault is what I'm saying then. And I also see this in, for instance, the J.K. Rowling tweet, like women be quieter and stay in the kitchen. Like, don't you kind of see how you're isolating yourself from the broader left by doing stuff like this?
I mean, clearly, if I cared that much
Like
about
doing things.
optics, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in, right? This stuff like this happens to me every third day. Past a point, we have
Okay,
to
well,
make
why do you
choices.
do it then?
Well,
I feel
part
like you have enough self control not to do it. I mean, you seem like a very calculative guy, right?
thank you. I'm actually a huge dumbass, but part of it's just an authenticity thing. I mean, if I hyper calculated the optimal move every time I did or said anything, then I don't know, that comes across as kind of robotic. Obviously, I have my aesthetic and personality flourishes. In the case of the J.K. Rowling thing, though, I don't think it really like isolated me that much. I think the
Well, no,
discourse is
that it's
broadly
more
kind
of
of
like a
funny.
pattern of that type of thing that seems to just alienate you from a lot of people on the left.
Well, a lot of
When
people on
I
the left
say,
are cucks.
okay, but like what? Why just be overtly sexist in the, just to like for the shock value? Like just
Hardly
to be like,
shocking. Women shut up and be quiet. Like, that's not really shocking, right? Like, that's like
because your explanation for why that was
6-year-old.
okay was because, well, wouldn't it be better that J.K. Rowling target me instead of someone else?
Well, the issue that I had is
Well,
that people
but
came up with all these bullshit, like, explanations for how very light sexism on the TL is going to advance the genocide of trans people or something. But, like, the real position, and I've been consistent in this, the real position is that, like, I don't really care. It's a light bit of fun. I don't really have an issue with people engaging in that kind of behavior generally. The main issue that I had was the behavior of the left after that tweet, you know? Like, if somebody is engaging in some, like, second grade recess period sexism over their Lunchables, and, a billionaire author throws a fit over it, I think that the appropriate response is to go after the billionaire and not, like, pretend that the Lunchables sexism is, like, a serious affront to the rights of women. But,
all
I
right.
mean,
Well,
the left is retarded, so, you get the hand you're dealt, I guess, in the
uh,
universe, and
uh,
that's life.
all right. Well, as you've seen, that's the reaction that's going to happen. They're like you're drawing more attention away from J.K. Rowling and the billionaires, and the attention is going on you. Like, I'm just saying, don't you see the value in having that sort of optics control?
Well, the problem
Like,
is the left
as
is full
someone
of
as
people.
someone with 400K subscribers on YouTube, as someone with a decent chunk of influence, like, don't you see how you're kind of going against the grain of what you're advocating for
No,
by
I don't
engaging in
think
this
I'm
sort of silly
going
thing?
against the grain at all. I mean, again, like, if we accept the idea that any behavior at that level of problematic or higher is unacceptable because it might get quote tweeted by J.K. Rowling, you have to remember that J.K. Rowling was out there name searching and quote tweeting like 30 follower trans accounts and talking about how they're threatening her life by making jokes about her being shitty or whatever.
All
It's
right,
like
so
it's like
talk
with the
about that.
conservatives. It's like with the conservatives again, You can't listen to the conservatives when they tell you the only reason I'm this shitty is because of this innocuous behavior on your part. You can't listen to them when they say that.
Okay, but don't wouldn't you rather they listen to you?
They're not going to listen to me. The conservatives, they're set. J.K. Rowling wants trans people dead. Nothing I do or say is going to change that.
Okay, so then why not talk about that instead of like
I do.
how you described it, second grade sexist language?
I can do both. They don't detract from each other. I love second grade sexism. And I've criticized J.K. Rowling pretty extensively on my channel in informative and in-depth ways with minimal ad homs. But I also liked the ad homs. I mean,
Okay,
we
I
have to be
think you would be a lot
permissive of these
you would be a lot
eccentricities.
more useful of a public figure if you would drop the ad homs. Then is
With
what I'm saying.
respect, I wouldn't have a platform if I dropped the ad homs. Why do you think people follow me? For the extremely reasoned, calm, and never confrontational takes? What you're trying to do is sandbelt off all the eccentricities that allows for diversity of tactics. The left can be stronger if we embrace that
Can't,
diversity of tactics,
can't,
and I am a relatively sparse representation of that type of behavior.
okay, but can't you be eccentric without like being sexist? Okay, And who's here? I'm trying to think of who's uh, the black gay conservative on TikTok. I'm forgetting his name.
Christian Walker.
Yeah, Christian Walker. Like when you were reacting to him and Hassan's stream, like some of the things you said, like were very like yikes. Why did he say that? Like you made comments that were directed at him, not for his political views. Like you just outed him for being like a little like fruity acting or whatever.
Yeah, because he's a fruity little gay boy.
This is okay for drag shows, but not when you're talking about so and so conservative belief.
No, I have sex with men. I have every right to make fun of gay queens. That's the right that I've earned by putting up with them while trying to get laid.
All right, dude, this is what I'm talking about.
No, like, wait, really though? What? So like, imagine like a woman making fun of a guy's like stereotypically straight behavior. Like there's a guy who's doing like some douchey jock bro shit, and a woman's critiquing his content, and she's like, "Oh my fucking god, I've dealt with so many straight guys like this." Nobody would have an issue with that. I'm a guy, and I've slept with guys. I know the prissy little queens like him. I know what he's like. I know what he wants, and I know why he acts like that in public. His pathology is written on his face as aggressively as all these fratty straight boy bros. Its pathologies are written on theirs. I don't think there's a difference there.
Okay, but by using ubiquitously like homophobic language, like I don't. Again, it's just an optics thing. I don't understand like why you think it's useful, especially since it's not just him that's going to be listening. There are other people that are going to be listening, and you're not going to especially bring conservatives over when you're just using those tactics right back at them.
Well, conservatives like homophobia.
So that does circle back to the whole buy guns thing. It's just, I just feel like you're using their same tactics of extremism.
Well, I think, so 2 points to this. First of all, I actually think that my willingness to casually engage in behavior like that has given me a lot of legitimacy with conservatives. At least when I get emails or I talk to them sometimes, it seems like, the willingness to do that edgy humor stuff makes me come off a lot less uptight. Which I do think is effective for bringing them over. But additionally, with the homophobia thing, I would agree if I felt like my audience was kind of like mixed company, So if I was like talking if my audience was more like centrist leaning, I might be a bit more careful with that stuff. My audience is like really, really, really gay. I don't think there's any real homophobia here. If anything, a lot of what I'm doing is kind of repurposing like anti-bottom rhetoric that I use ubiquitously anyway. So being anti-gay bottom is a kind of homophobia, but it's not the kind of homophobia that real homophobes tend to engage in. Like real homophobes, the people who actually want to take away the rights of gay people, the homophobia they engage in tends to be a general disgust with the idea of men sleeping with men, whereas with bottoms, it's more about like the mannerisms of submissives in the gay community, which that is a kind of homophobia. It's just I don't know how easy it is to repurpose that with the intent of actually hurting gay people, culturally. Does that make any sense?
I suppose it does. I still think that whole monologue you gave just isn't going to go through people's heads when you just say something that is easy to interpret as just blatantly homophobic or blatantly racist. Like in that same stream, you also said, like, "Oh, thought I only expected this from white conservatives. I guess not." Like it was it's just like these weird, like,
I don't remember exactly
or
what he said.
Post-ironically or whatever, like bigoted comments you make.
I don't remember exactly what he said, so I can't comment necessarily on what I was responding to, but I don't think
it matters what he said. The problem I'm saying is that
I don't think it's inherently bigoted to point that out. Like if a white conservative, like a Nazi or something, or said like, yeah, I think white people are better than black people. This is bad. It's morally wrong. If a black person said the same thing, if they had the same ideology, I don't think it's racist to go like, oh, okay, well, well, that's a pretty wacky thing for you to say, but all right. I don't think it's racist to point that out. You're not impugning a person based on their race there. You're just pointing out what evidently seems to be a contradiction between their stated beliefs and their lived experiences. Like you could make that same comment, like nobody would accuse me of classism because nobody believes classism is a real thing unless you're on left Twitter. But like when poor people are doing this like you know, like, fuck poor people, we live in a meritocracy, anyone who's poor doesn't work hard enough, they're also doing the same thing. They're doing the exact same, like, self-hate projected outward. And I think you can point that out too. You can be like, you know, wouldn't, you know, you live in a trailer park, I wouldn't expect to hear that from you. Okay, you know. But I don't think that's classist necessarily. I think you're just pointing out, like, why the fuck do you, because maybe you can, like, point out like the disconnect, or like you try to reach them on that, like there's some internal contradiction or cognitive dissonance you could point to, you know, like that kind of thing. And obviously if you're responding to a video, you can't do that to them because they're not listening to you, but maybe people in the audience who are you know, 50-50 on you, they might be able to resonate that.
All right.
Just a possibility, you know. It's not all calculated, you know. I do think it's weird.
Well, you seem to be calculated on certain things, like, I mean, it seems you're making it pretty clear that depending on who you're responding to or who you're debating with, you're going to kind of change your rhetorical style, right?
I try to, but I don't put that much thought of it in the moment-to-moment conversation because I feel like it detracts from the authenticity, you know? Like, I don't ever want to come across like I'm some kind of, like, CBS anchor or whatever. Like, I'm sitting here with my tie adjusted and I'm trying to deliver, like, this, you know, a rehearsed argument. I think people tend to enjoy the idea that I'm just out here just kind of you know, firing this off the top of my head, and I enjoy being that person because I think that's a more authentic representation of how people tend to engage with politics anyway. You know, the whole, like, carefully crafted stage show reading off the teleprompter attitude towards politics is representative only of those in the, you know, media, politicians, professional managerial class, people like that. For regular people, I think a lot of this comes down to, like, you know, what you say and think in that moment. And in that context, I try to be thoughtful, but, you know, it's still an off the cuff thing.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I guess I just fundamentally disagree with you on that then, because I think, I mean, authenticity is important, but in terms of what you're talking about and the effects that your speech is going to have, it's the same problem with Joe Rogan, which you would agree that Joe Rogan, though it may be cool that he has like an off the cuff style, you agree, right, that his platform being as massive as it is and the people who are listening to him being influenced by him, you would agree, right, that it's irresponsible for him to be doing what he's doing.
Sure, but my issue with him isn't his authenticity, it's the stupid fucking shit he says, right? I don't have an issue with his presentational style.
So that I would just extend that to you then.
I don't think I'm saying stupid fucking shit.
I'd say sometimes you do. Is what I'm saying.
Well, hurts to hear that. For what it's worth, I don't really think there's a relationship between the aesthetic of delivery and how stupid the shit you say is. Because even though Joe Rogan is a very casual guy, and he does say a lot of stupid shit, there are plenty of conservatives who will say stupid shit in a very rehearsed, performative, delivered, you know, style. So, yeah, I don't know how much of a relationship there is between the aesthetic of the speech and the quality of the speech.
Well, again, I would say both are important, but what you're saying isn't really just delivering to the aesthetics, especially, like, we can circle back to the whole buy guns thing and how I think it's just an optical failure because of the amount of gun deaths being suicides and the high suicide rate of the trans community. I just think inherently that what you're saying makes it a problem due to those factors.
Right. But
I'm saying that you're causing more harm than good.
This would be like if I told my audience they should get into riding bicycles instead of driving cars, and you pointed out that people who watch live streamers tend to be fatter, which makes it more likely they're going to get into an accident, so it's irresponsible for me to do it. I have to trust in my audience to a certain extent. You know, I exercise this rhetoric as responsibly as I can, but past a point, like, you know, if I say, like, hey guys, you should try to eat, like, fruits and vegetables, and somebody, like, chokes to death while trying to eat an artichoke whole, there's an extent to which I feel like I can't be, you know, like, I'll do the best I can within the purview that I can, but, you know, if I say, like, I think that bad political times are coming, and if you feel mentally well enough, I think it's good to own a firearm, especially if you're in, like, a relatively left-leaning area, I don't think there's anything irresponsible about saying that. He was right about the ironic bigotry, though. Look, I'm gonna be real with you, okay? The left is so fucking cucked, man. The fact that, like, there are so many leftists on YouTube, and of them, I'm in, like, the top 1% edgiest, and, like, I'm getting in trouble for, like, lunchbox sexism. You know what I mean? Like, god damn, man. It's like, holy shit. we really are puritanical, aren't we? In our own way. Like, we have to get over ourselves a little bit with the optics frogging on that, right? Like, you know, like, man, you have to transition, Vaush. It's the only way. Yeah, I guess so. I guess the main thing that gets me is people have to remember that a huge part of the reason why young guys go over to the right instead of the left is that, like, the left comes across as so fuddy-duddy, you know, so anti-fun. And, yeah, you just, man... Fuck. It's, you know, people are... Ugh. Are you arguing that utilizing casual sexism is consequentially better for pushing people left? I'm saying that pearl-clutching over incredibly minor problematic language is very effective in pushing people right. That's what I'm saying. I don't know whether or not mild sexism is great at pulling people to the left. I do know that freaking out over mild sexism is going to push people to the right. Nobody wants to join the left when they feel like they're going to be walking on eggshells the whole time.